Alright, so this was brought on by a discussion that me and my friend TanakaCon1985, subscribed to him by the way, him and I were on the phone just talking, and we had this discussion. We had this discussion over the phone, and we actually got onto what would make good comic books, because Dynamite, this was generally for Dynamite Comics, because Dynamite is coming out with a lot of comic books based off of TV shows. You know, they're doing Bionic Man and Bionic Woman, they're doing Green Hornet, and there's a lot of them. But one of them interested me out of like almost all of them. He actually suggested, how about a comic book adaptation or a comic book series based around the movie Gremlins? Everyone, I hope, knows what Gremlins is. Gremlins, you know, that weird movie that started helped start the PG-13 rating for movie theaters. That and the Temple of Doom. He suggested that why not make a Gremlins 3 in a comic book adaptation, because there's a good chance we'll never get a Gremlins 3. Now, me personally, I enjoy the Gremlins movies. I enjoyed both of them. The second one, because it was pretty much how I could describe the second movie, was kind of like a live action. It was more or less like a Looney Tunes thing gone on crack. Better yet, that's how you describe all the both Gremlins movie. Looney Tunes on crack, basically. I personally enjoyed the first one, because that had a lot of darker humor to it, and it was just weird, but awesome at the same time. I did enjoy the second one, though. Now, I really like that idea of having a comic book series based off of like a third movie, having the main character like Gizmo. I don't know where you would go with a third movie. I don't know. I was thinking, how about instead of because probably if you want to do like a Gremlins 3 in a comic book adaptation, it's probably going to be like an 6 to 8 part mini-series, if not maybe 12. I was thinking, how about an ongoing series, kind of like, you know how Darkwing Duck is. You know, why not make a movie series where the second movie left off and have, like, you know, whole new Gremlins? You know, why not? How about making a movie, you know, where you have the Gremlins going around and, you know, crazy. Basically, here's how I do it. The first 4 parts would be like part of a story where it would kind of take off where the second movie left off, and have Gizmo, they spill water on him, or he eats after midnight, and he makes more Gremlins, and they, instead of just hanging around, they run off all across the country. And it's kind of like a dark, humorous cross-country tour of these Gremlins, basically, and have them going around the U.S. Or going around the world, even starting out in the U.S., I'd say, and causing all kinds of wanton destruction. That would be an awesome little idea of and keep the series going rather than just a mini series, because I really think, depending on what writers you'd have, I think you'd have a good dark comedic series. I say that because the second movie, as we all know, the second movie was dark humor. And I mean, it showed people getting killed, and you know, it did have a lot of humor to it. So maybe you could have something along those lines, as long as you don't make Gremlins, you know, too graphic. I'm not talking like Dead Alive graphic. I'm talking like maybe something you'd see in maybe a Deadpool comic. Not the Deadpool Max, the regular Deadpool comic. Something along that amount of violence. Something you can maybe rate T. You know, basically something for young adults, for teenagers, and have a lot of sophisticated writers. Now, I don't know who I would personally put on the book, but I don't know. I mean, it would have to be someone with a good sense of humor, most definitely. Maybe Victor Gischler. I'm just going to throw that name out there because I couldn't think of anything. Victor Gischler, I think he's a okay writer. He's got some humor to him. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. But I think his line of humor, because his jokes, whenever I read a Deadpool comic written by him, it's somewhat more funnier. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I could be, that's going to be my first name, because I can't think of anyone else who can balance, humor and the dark humor to it, unless you're thinking like Garth Ennis or Warren Ellis. And I really don't think they'd want to do a Gremlins comic book. Kevin Smith, actually, when it comes to mind, maybe since he's doing a lot of books for Dynamite, why not just have him do Gremlins? Yeah, why not? Yeah, he could probably do it. Yeah, Kevin Smith could probably do it. So, I'm just going to throw that name out there and just say, Kevin Smith, that guy. Let's go with him. He's already doing Bionic Man, he's still writing a lot of Green Hornet stuff. Why not have him on another book? I mean, look at Jeff Johns, he's on multiple books, so why not? Am I right? So, yeah. Now, like I said, I don't know where you could take this book. I'm gonna go with the cross-country chaos idea. I thought that'd be fun. Then make it. That would be like the first 12 issues of the comic, in my opinion. That's how it should be. Them in the first 12 issues, just running around the U.S. And then maybe they can branch out to like Canada or Mexico and move on from there. Personally, I'd like to see the Gremlins in Japan. I can only imagine the shenanigans they could do. Personally, I'd like to see them Gremlins in Japan. That should be awesome. Another place I think they would just wreak total havoc. It would have to be like I'd really want to see what they do in Rome or maybe the Vatican City. Oh my god, I can only imagine the jokes the Gremlins would do in the Vatican. Man, that would. I'm just thinking about all the jokes, all the cruel pranks they pull on the Pope and all that. Oof. It's scary, but at the same time you want to. It's like one of those things where you know it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad for the victim, but you want to read it anyway. So yeah, I know this is kind of scatterbrained. This idea is kind of scatterbrained, but once again, I gotta thank Tanaka-Khan if you're watching, dude. Thanks for the idea. I'm glad talking with you about this idea of the Gremlins, fellow Gremlin fan. So, you know what? You guys tell me, if they made would you guys read a comic book based off of Gremlins, and how do you think this ongoing series should be like? And we're going to keep with Dynamite because it seems like Dynamite would probably be the best one to take it at this point since, Wildstorm's gone, Dark Horse is getting a little more official. Maybe Image, if that would be my second pick, but Dynamite seems like the more appropriate line. And also, who would you get as the artist and who would you get as the writer? I'm really curious to know. You guys tell me.